have to be made.
And I'm going to stress to the supervisors and other officers on the street who think that one of their co-workers may have a problem, that they bring it to them and send them for a fitness for duty.
Dallin Miller has consistently refused interviews. He is currently undergoing psychiatric counseling. And Chief Toller says right now, because of Miller's emotional problems, the department is not considering charging him with filing a false police report. Mike and Debbie.
And again, Tina, they think that this car chase that he was involved in as a rookie is still causing him problems?
Well, they think that that certainly may have been a contributing factor, but it's not being blamed for the shooting and all the other problems Miller reportedly had during his 3 years on the force.
Again, that had to do with his girlfriend, the most recent incident.
Yeah, the most recent incident. But they think that there may have been some long-standing psychological problems, and they are being addressed right now. And he won't be released until the police psychologist feels as if he's ready to be released.
Okay. Tina Cosby in our newsroom. Thanks.
The Indiana Supreme Court today suspended Howard County Judge Alan Brubaker. Brubaker, seen here in a Boone County mugshot, is facing charges in a drugs for sex scheme revealed Tuesday. The Howard County prosecutor says he continues to, quote, look at several things in a continuing investigation into Brubaker.
County, it'd be speculation on my part is to tell you that I expect to file additional cases in Howard County, but that process is ongoing.
Meantime, a talk show on a Kokomo radio station produced this sort of reaction.
How many people has he sentenced for the same thing that he was doing?
True.
They're in jail.
And now,
I don't feel sorry for him.
A January 23rd trial date has been set for Brubaker in Boone County.
Well, Indiana's so-called war on drugs recorded another frontline skirmish this morning. Police in Howard County conducted an early morning arrest raid, and News 8's Neal Moore was there.
Sir, I have a warrant for your arrest.
Warrant?
Yes, sir. Open the door, please. I'll explain it to you as soon as we can.
And so it went. Shortly after dawn, teams of local, county, and state police officers serving arrest warrants at numerous homes throughout Howard County. One of their first stops was here in the 5900 block of Seneca Trail. 26-year-old Tim Colburn and his 28-year-old wife Tamara had allegedly sold marijuana and prescription narcotics to undercover police informants.
I don't even know what it's about or anything, because I didn't do nothing.
More than 60 undercover drug purchases led to this morning's raid. Dubbed Operation Gemstone, 28 alleged drug dealers from the Kokomo area were targeted for arrest.
Police say their undercover purchases were made during the past year. This morning, authorities swooped in to make the arrests. By midday, 15 suspects were in custody, brought to the Howard County Sheriff's Department, where arrest processing teams were waiting. Authorities called most of the suspects small-time, street-level dealers and concede the impact on Kokomo's drug scene will be difficult to measure. But they believe marijuana supplies will dry up for at least a month as spooked dealers temporarily halt drug sales.
We feel like that whether we can measure it or whether we can't measure it, we feel like we're definitely ahead of the game by doing what we're doing. We think we'd be in whatever, if we're in a bad situation now, we'd be in a lot worse if we weren't doing what we're doing. So that's why we keep at it.
Police credit a network of informants for the undercover buys and keeping tabs on the drug suspects, leading to this morning's arrests. And if felony drug charges aren't enough, several suspects also face Internal Revenue Service fines for non-payment of Indiana's controlled substance tax. In Howard County, Neal Moore, Wish TV, News 8.
And this footnote, Kokomo police say marijuana costs a lot more these days, as much as $200 an ounce.
As a team of investigators looks into what caused that fatal underground explosion that killed 2 men, flags were lowered to half staff at the Citizens Gas and Coke plant, the site of that accident. It was to remember 35-year-old Jeff Spears and his 33-year-old brother Philip, who died when they were trapped in an underground gasoline storage tank.
One of the workers from Indy Tank Service, when we got on the scene, explained to us that when he was moving one of the extension cords, spark came off the extension cord, and that ensued the explosion.
The workers were relining the tank with fiberglass and were using flammable liquids that, when mixed together, can emit toxic fumes and be explosive under the right circumstances. The 2 other men involved in the accident were treated and released.
Well, a familiar downtown landmark is coming down because it was found by a court of law not to be an historic landmark. The former Acme Evans grain mill and its 27 silos are the target of a wrecking ball. Since 1988, controversy has surrounded that site as local preservationists have fought to keep it standing. But the grain mill was found not to be legally of any historic value. The White River State Park Commission moved quickly to get the demolition underway.
The silos occupy space that will be taken by both a canal extension and a IMAX Theater Future Park building that we hope will attract many people to the state and to the city.
The demolition is expected to take the rest of this year. The new theater could be built within 3 years.
Still ahead on News 8 at 5 o'clock, the O.J. Simpson case goes back to court tomorrow. We'll have a preview.
And on the health scene, the female condom is about to hit some store shelves. And does some common advice for pregnant moms really help their babies? We'll have the answers ahead.
12 minutes past 5 o'clock, time for the health scene. Here's Debbie.
Thanks, Mike. The controversial but long-awaited female condom is now being shipped to retailers in the U.S. The Reality female condoms are on their way to major drug and supermarket chains and wholesalers. Retail sales are expected to begin in some areas during August. The Reality is the first and only female condom approved by the Food and Drug Administration. It will be sold without a prescription. Well, it's estimated that doctors in this country advise nearly 1 in 5 pregnant women to stay in bed for more than a week or more. But a new study suggests it may do very little to prevent premature labor. Karen Lee is 6 months pregnant. Doctors were worried she might go into premature labor. She had surgery to prevent that. She's been told to spend the next 3 months lying down.
I think it's the only responsible thing to do, really.
In a new study, researchers in Alabama say bed rest is overprescribed. It's costly, more than $1 billion a year lost in hospital costs, productivity, and wages. And the researchers say it doesn't help in most pregnancies. Dr. David Luthi, head of obstetrics at Swedish Medical Center, believes there's a reason bed rest is often prescribed.
One of the things that's difficult to understand is that people want to do something. And to say that nothing's going to help or nothing's going to make any difference sounds, uncaring and crass.
Dr. Luthi agrees bed rest by itself won't prevent early labor.
A first trimester pregnancy that is destined to be lost, it's going to be lost regardless of what we do.
But Dr. Luthi says rest that is part of a treatment plan that includes surgery and drugs might help in other cases, especially when the mother is expecting more than 2 babies. And that's what's making news in health. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Debbie, thanks. Now let's find out what's happening in sports tonight. Into the newsroom, and Mark Patrick. Hi, Mark.
Thank you, Franchise. The Marshall Falk Watch is still on in Anderson. We'll have a live report from Dick Ray as the veterans had their very first practice of the season at training camp in Anderson. Indianapolis Indians are in New Orleans tonight. We'll look back at Major League Baseball from last night and Dream Team 2 practicing in very hot conditions in Chicago. All on the way in 5:50 Sports.
Okay, Mark, very good. Thanks. Cliff Nicholson now with the forecast. We got some rain around our house at noon today, so one of those spotty showers finally found a spot to fall.
That's right, and some thunderstorms last night. Good lightning show. And guess what? More rain's on the way. I'll show you where it is in just a minute.
Cliff Nicholson has been approved by the American Meteorological Society.
What a difference a day makes. I'll tell you, it felt much better today. Mr. Sun was gone, but that's okay.
Yeah, that cloud cover works wonders, doesn't it? Very nice. It's a little rather humid, of course, because of all the rain in the area, but lost a few degrees, didn't we?
Yes, we did, and we're going to change that humidity as well, bring that down a little bit, which will be nice. And severe weather, I was talking about the potential of it yesterday for today. I don't think we're going to see it. What showers and thunderstorms develop in the area will just dump their rain and move on their way.
Great.
So that's a good way to have rain as well. The high temperature yesterday in the city, that was 94 degrees, and look what happened today. Down to 84. And that after a low temperature of 70 degrees. Precipitation out at the airport, 16/100ths of an inch there. And one of our weather watchers called up and said that his grandma never gets a chance to see sunset and sunrise there. So he said, Clifford, leave that up for a second. So I will. There. Okay, moving along. It's currently partly sunny outside. The temperature 84 degrees. The dew point's at 70. Now that's still tropical. Winds out of the southwest at 8 miles per hour, and a barometer's going down. I have a whole bunch of weather watchers who called in. I will show you the rainfall amounts. However, Southport, our local weather station, southeastern Marion County, since midnight has had a little over a half an inch of rain. Current temperature there is 81. 24 hours of clouds throughout the nation. Relatively quiet back here to the west. Look at the clear skies from Colorado all the way up to the Pacific Northwest. Here's a deep old low pressure area and a cold front attached, and that's what's moving through the area right now. 12 hours of radar will show that we have various amounts of precipitation up here. Here's a band right here beginning to develop in western Indiana. You can see scattered showers over Iowa, Minnesota, as well as Wisconsin. During a 3-hour period, some light showers have moved over the state, but then here comes this particular area right here. And if we check Wish TV Doppler radar, we'll be able to see that these showers and thunderstorms are peppered throughout the region, none heavy. This looks like about the heaviest rainmaker just north of Zionsville here. And these are moving to the northeast at approximately 30 miles per hour. And you can see them here and there back to the west. So most areas, I suspect, at least in central Indiana, far south and far north, may not see any precipitation tonight. But some light to moderate amounts of rainfall to help the old gardens and the farm fields and the grassy areas out there. Some of the rainfall amounts reported, the heaviest nearly 2 inches. Bill Niehoff in Marshall, Indiana, Seymour about 1/4 of an inch, the 9-county region as much as 1/2 inch up over, well, areas of southern Hamilton County there, the 6800s in Greenwood, and here in Marion County. The heaviest amount actually came with a thunderstorm that came late yesterday, and that was 1.5 inches in the eastern part of the county. Current temperatures are in the 70s and 80s right now, clear skies over portions of Illinois. As we take a look at the map features, here's the frontal system, of course, humid air in front of it, less humid behind it. So tomorrow is going to feel a lot more comfortable as we have drier air move into the region. Precipitation will also follow this front back to the east. Forecast high temperatures will range once again in the 80s over the state. Here's the outlook this evening in Indianapolis. Scattered showers and a thunderstorm or 2 or 3. 67 degrees the low temperature for this evening, so still a little humid outside. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness, morning shower possible, otherwise 83 the high. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, cooler, less humid. A low temperature of 63 degrees. We'll be able to see that big full buck moon. That's the July full moon. Saturday, mostly sunny. A very nice way to start the weekend. 85 the high. And into the weekend we go. Maybe a chance for thunder shower on Sunday. However, things look pretty nice after we get this little rain out of the way.
We're not accustomed to seeing a normal shower anymore. There's always going to be thunder or violent weather.
Seems like it, doesn't it?
So this is nice.
This will be pleasant.
All right, Cliff. Thank you.
I'm Ken Owen. Tomorrow is the day O.J. Simpson will be arraigned on murder charges. Tina Cosby and I will preview the hearing and have today's developments when News 8 at 5 o'clock continues. We'll also explain why the Hoosier Lottery is happy the fat lady has sung. And today's Life in the 90s report has word that millions of Americans could be getting a tax break.
And we're going to hear from Latin singer John Cicada in town for the day. Had a chance to talk to him. Also, you'll hear the local stylings of Theodore Ward. It's his bid for the big time next.
What's going on?
Welcome back to News 8 at 5 o'clock. I'm Ken Owen.
And I'm Tina Cosby. And Patty's sitting over there she has something that's pretty rare, a CD autographed by the artist.
Yes, I do.
And in the studio, I guess, at noon today.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been seeing it all day. She's been walking around holding it up kind of like a sign.
It says, he even spelled my name with a Y at the end. Most people insist on putting an I. Patty, it says thanks for the...
I looked at that.
Something. I can't, John Cicada. Well, he spelled my name right. I can't read anything. Anyway, do you think I should declare this to the IRS?
I
don't think so. No, I think I'll just keep that. Anyway, we'll get to John Cicada here in just a moment. I'm going to play that. The Emmy nominations are out, and the critically acclaimed TV series NYPD Blue has set a new record by earning 26 nominations. The previous record was set by Hill Street Blues, which picked up 21 nominations. The other best drama nominees, Law and Order, Northern Exposure, Picket Fences, Star Trek, The Next Generation. In comedy, Frasier, which has 11 nominations in all. They're very happy about that. All the winners will be announced September 11th in Pasadena, California. We'll keep you updated on that. And now, he's Cuban-born and moved to Miami when he was 8. At 32, John Cicada is enjoying worldwide popularity for his soulful ballads and passionate lyrics. He was in Indianapolis today to promote his newest effort, and we were glad to help. John Cicada, his first album was a hit, especially the single, Just Another Day Without You. Now this former backup singer for Gloria Estefan is set for his world tour to start in October and is busy promoting his second CD.
I've been very fortunate. Everybody was very supportive, the record company, and I did exactly what I wanted to do with this record, and I did it my way, so to speak.
You did it you can use that phrase. That's right. Now, your heritage is Latin and African, is that correct?
Yeah, and raised in America.
And you've combined it all, and you've been all over the country. People know John Cicada. Are you pleased, surprised?
I'm very, very happy. I'm even more than anything else surprised of the international appeal with my music and my career.
Okay,
so
let's talk about that. Your first album was in Spanish and won a 1992 Grammy for the Spanish version.
Right.
And people have told me that the Spanish version sounds even better.
Yeah, people say it's a little more passionate, more, I don't know. Even people that don't speak Spanish, they say it sounds more meatier.
So don't let that stand in your way. If you can't speak Spanish,
Absolutely.
go buy the Spanish.
Absolutely.
Heart and Soul and a Voice is out now. You can buy it, except you can't buy mine. It's also available in English and Spanish. As we told you, John Cicada, thanks for stopping by. Well, now here's a local guy with a big voice and a big dream.
Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know
I can do all of this stuff. I could do it so well you'd think it was him, but I just put more stuff in it about myself that way. It's respecting him and leaving his as such and bringing his name about. But I love him a lot. He was a great person.
Theodore Ward says he's been around, met some great singers and stars, and now would like to try and make his own mark. He contracted polio at age 2 and has been wheelchair-bound all of his life, and he feels that's part of the problem.
I've went on dance floors and turned it out. I'm serious. I have.
But you think you've been discriminated against because you're in a wheelchair?
Yeah, because, you know, basically, I think people don't think you have the ingenuity to go out and do 16, 17 city tours. But I can do that.
And he can sing.
That's it. I don't have anything else, you know. So that's all I have. My mother always told me, if you got one penny, you try and make that penny as shiny and make as many as you can to put on top of the other penny, and then that way you have a few more. So that's what I'm doing.
I'll tell you what's going on.
Look for Theodore Ward performing in the very near future at the Sunset Pub on Allisonville, also Culture Club downtown. Also, he is slated to appear on BET, Jerry Springer, and David Letterman. Now, if you'd like to help Theodore financially to see his record dream come true, to get the contract, you can call Big Daddy's studio there on South Meridian. I'm sure he would love to hear from you for any support, whether it's financial or just verbal that you'd like to give him. So, great guy with a lot of soul, so we wish him the very best of luck in his effort here.
Okay, thank you, Patty.
Patty, thanks. When News 8 at 5 continues today, O.J. Simpson goes back to court tomorrow, and once again, you can watch from the sidelines. A preview is coming up.
Also ahead, boxing promoter Don King has a court fight on his hands.
I'm Rick Dawson. Tonight, CBS takes an in-depth look at Hitler and Stalin 50 years later. Coming up on News 8, we'll talk with one local history professor who talks about how history should remember those two men.
O.J. Simpson is due back in court tomorrow to be arraigned on charges that he murdered his former wife and her friend. Manuel Gallegos of CBS News has a preview of what to expect tomorrow and a look at today's developments in this high-profile case.
Hello. If you have any information or evidence regarding the O.J. Simpson case, press 2 now.
O.J. Simpson's hotline goes into effect tomorrow, the day Simpson will be charged before the Superior Court. The proceeding is expected to be brief, much like that first day when Simpson was arraigned in municipal court.
At this time, do you wish to enter a plea guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
According to the DA's office, the charges continue to be 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, making Simpson eligible for the death penalty. It appears Simpson will plead not guilty, since he maintains he was home sleeping while his ex-wife and Ron Goldman were being killed.
That's going to be released upon filing with the court and the district attorney later this afternoon.
In other developments, Simpson defense attorney Robert Shapiro contends police failed to follow up on leads that could clear Simpson of the crimes. He has already filed a motion seeking information on any other leads prosecutors may have.
It was horizontally oriented. It was parallel to the first moon.
Meantime, the LA coroner's office admits that some mistakes were made during the handling of evidence in the Simpson case. Individually, each problem could be considered minor, but when they're added together, legal experts say it could help the defense discredit all of the evidence. Manuel Gallegos, CBS News, Los Angeles.
CBS will provide live coverage of tomorrow's arraignment beginning at 12:30 Indianapolis time.
Well, boxing promoter Don King says he's ready to put up a legal fight at his arraignment today. King pleaded not guilty to fraud charges involving an insurance claim. Prosecutors say King bilked Lloyd's of London out of $350,000 after making false claims about a fight that never materialized because of injuries. If convicted, he could face 5 years in prison and a more than $2 million fine. King says he is completely innocent.
President Clinton is pledging another $35 million to help suffering Rwandan refugees at a camp in Zaire where disease is taking a deadly toll. Relief workers say at least 800 people have died of cholera and tens of thousands more could be infected within days. United Nations officials are appealing for international help. One is calling for a large-scale military operation similar to one that helped Iraqi Kurds after the Persian Gulf War. Clinton's offer of American money would pay to ship food and other supplies to the camp and to rebuild the airport and truck routes.
An American has been injured in an attack on a UN plane in Sarajevo. The unidentified person was shot in the thigh, but his condition isn't known. Bullets also struck U.S. and British aircraft at Sarajevo. The attacks forced the shutdown of the aid flights for the second day in a row. A spokesman for the UN operation says it's now obvious that someone on the ground is targeting the flights. Well, the ethnic cleansing in the former Yugoslavia isn't that far removed from the atrocities of Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin 50 years ago. This evening, CBS News will air a primetime look at those two leaders. Rick Dawson previews tonight's special on Hitler and Stalin entitled Legacy of Hate.
By some estimates, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were together responsible for the murders of 36 million people.
Too many of us say, oh, Hitler, Stalin, that can never happen again. That's not true. It can happen again if we're complacent.
Tonight, General Norman Schwarzkopf and Charles Kuralt look back on the lives of Hitler and Stalin, a legacy of hate.
I'm old enough, and General Schwarzkopf is too, to remember the horrors of Hitler and Stalin, but most of our American population really isn't. And I don't think we can ever emphasize enough that lesson of history.
The first thing I hope they come away with is a realization of the horror of what happened. But more importantly, the fact that it happened in a world that was very similar to the world we live in today.
Could there be another Hitler or Stalin lurking behind the world political scenes? One IUPUI history professor says yes.
Each convinced themselves that they were leading a chosen people to some sort of promised land.
Dr. John Stevens says the political situation in Haiti could create another Hitler or Stalin.
It happens inevitably that in times of stress, when economies are dissolving, when there are those kinds of dislocations or national upheavals, these people will emerge, and those who are desperate for leadership, looking for a Joshua, will fall directly in behind them.
And what lessons should be learned from these men 50 years later?
What these people are is an index to the people they worked among, in my view of it. And it is to that we should look for lessons, not to these people. They're always lurking around. They're under the rocks. And sometimes the crazier they look, the more likely they are to succeed.
Hitler and Stalin, A Legacy of Hate, airs tonight from 9 to 11 right here on Wish TV.
In Indianapolis, a new leader has taken over the city's push to improve neighborhoods and parks. Today, Mayor Stephen Goldsmith announced Elaine Beadle as the new director of the Department of Metropolitan Development. By next year, Beadle says she hopes the DMD will be able to renovate city apartments and build new homes to improve neighborhoods. Instant tickets have become the core business of the Hoosier Lottery during the past year. New games get the credit for pushing this year's sales to $575 million, up more than $60 million from last year.
Our instant tickets were fantastic. We solidified our base at about 48% of sales on all our instant tickets. It is our core business. It will continue to be our focus. But we're just very happy about the $575 million overall number, and we're determined to dig in and have a better year next year.
To celebrate the new record, staff and stars took to the streets. Hoosier Millionaire game show personalities, including Mark Patrick, were part of a special parade downtown this morning. By the way, the sales record means record profits. A check of $166 million was handed over to the state. There's that bingo song again.
Oh, yeah, and Agnes, she's back.
You know
Never
what I mean?
goes away. Well, as stereo systems and TV sets get more bells and whistles, it can get tougher to figure out how they work.
Today's Life in the 90s report looks at the move toward goof-proof appliances, and there's talk of restoring a tax break for millions of Americans. Both stories are coming up next. 7 years ago, millions of Americans lost a popular tax deduction, one that allows people to build their own nest eggs.